Hello, I'm Monster. Why would a group who spent the first half of their career writing artistically complex pieces of music like this go on to write cheap, mind-numbingly catchy pop tunes like this? Well, through the early to mid-70s, progressive rock was on top. You couldn't escape it. King Crimson, Pink Floyd, and Soft Machine, to name a few, were all creating music that defied the laws of traditional rock and roll music at the time. Mostly releasing concept albums with story songs that would exceed 20 minutes or more, and many albums rarely had more than 5 songs. The genre's popularity began to decline by the end of the 70s, because most people were just getting sick of it. The public began to prefer the short, aggressive punk and dancey disco songs to the artsy 20-minute songs of before. So many prog bands reinvented themselves during the 80s. Rush, Yes, and Styx were among many groups who began to focus more on creating songs with catchy hooks and synth pop, rather than repeat themselves. This brings us to the band in question, Genesis, a prog band who kicked ass. During the early 70s, they released some of their best work ever. Original singer Peter Gabriel left after touring for The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, leaving Phil Collins to take the lead. The albums released after Gabriel's departure are, they're okay. So after releasing their 10th album, Duke, they decided they were sick of trying, and released Abacab in '81 and Genesis in '83, which by far are the worst Genesis albums I've ever heard. 3 years later, they gave us Invisible Touch, their biggest commercial success. Nothing more to say, but God help us.
If you wanna hear a song, well, here it is, Invisible Touch!
What the fuck, Genesis? As a pop song, I guess it does what it needs to do because it's horribly catchy with its happy new wave synth piss dripping in your ears. I do like this one part of the song with its odd sound effects, but then it quickly changes back to the soundtrack to every 80s date movie ever made. This song isn't horrible, it's just boring. For an 8-minute song it goes absolutely nowhere. And this is from a band who used to make longer songs than this that were incredible. And if on the right stuff, take you to higher forms of reality. Now it's mostly boring because of its slow tempo and almost minimalist approach to the music. It does go into this for 3 minutes. Then it's back to the actual song.
Track 3, Land of Confusion. Track 3, Land of Confusion.
I do like this song a lot. It's a
Take the lyrics to Land of Confusion. In this song, Phil Collins addresses the problems of abusive political authority.
I was gonna say that. Now what can I say about this song? It's got a badass music video.
I'm in too deep, I'm in too deep.
Phil, leave the sappy adult contemporary love songs for your solo records. This belongs nowhere on a Genesis album. What are you doing, man?
Anything she does, anything she does, anything she does.
Genesis, everybody. The group who used to write incredibly dynamic songs and big story albums, writing songs about porn. Where's Peter Gabriel when we need him? Oh yeah, doing the same thing.
Here's another song that I'd like to show. Let's go listen to Domino.
This is the best song on the entire album. It's one of the only tracks on here that actually sounds like a Genesis song. Remember how Tonight, Tonight, Tonight is over 8 minutes and just goes nowhere? Well, this song clocks in at almost 11 and proves they can do better. Part 1, In the Glow of the Night, starts off a little slow, but it flawlessly rolls into Part 2, The Last Domino, halfway through the 4-minute mark. It takes the mood of the music to darker territory, with a great use of experimental 80s synth noise. To me, this song alone is the best transition of Genesis' original musical creativity showing up in their 80s albums. It may not be as musically elaborate as their early work, but they do take the sound effects, electric drums, and keyboard synths and put together something that's creatively challenging.
Track 7. Throwing it all away.
I'm sensing a pattern here. Every time we get a song or two that has some interesting ideas, it's followed by another face value reject. Skip!
Everybody's ready for track 8. Get on down, it's the Brazilian! Yeah.
The album ends with another great song showing signs of the real Genesis tearing down the wall between them and these radio Genesis imposters. The Brazilian is an amazing instrumental piece that experiments heavily with weird noise and sound effects, making you wonder what the fuck happened. Invisible Touch.
I think Invisible Touch is the group's undisputed masterpiece. It's an epic meditation on intangibility.
No, it's not. Now this happens to every band. Most change to gain a wider audience, some do it to be more artistic, and everybody does it because, let's face it, you're sick of doing the same thing. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And no disrespect to Phil Collins, because he's one of my favorite drummers. All of the prog bands didn't change into shitty pop groups. In fact, Pink Floyd and King Crimson's 80s albums, while being nowhere near as amazing as their early stuff, they were still making music that was innovatively different, rather than just making pop songs. Hell, I even think Kilroy Was Here is badass. This album sounds more like half a Genesis album and half a Phil Collins solo record. But with that said, after all the rancid pop and adult contemporary bullshit, there are at least a couple songs that would please early fans of Genesis, given if they had any early fans left at this point. I don't hate this album. It's a step above Abacab and Genesis, but I can only recommend Domino and the Brazilian. I think I'll stick to the snooty, pretentious prog rock of the 70s. The fuck? Alright, alright.
I'm here to rap on those beats, dude. Let's get to it.
Come on.
Oh yeah, man, I found this at the Goodwill. I know how much you like Yes and all.
Son of a bitch.